When I think back to my childhood, it feels like a dream wrapped in soft white fog. Safe, but suffocating. My parents, bless them, loved me deeply. Or at least, they thought they did. Their version of love was control. They said it was their duty to protect me from the dangers of the world. But I often wonder if it was the world they didn't trust. Or me. I was the only child in our small family, and from the moment I was born, my parents made me the center of their lives. My mom would always tell me, "Emma, we waited so long for you. You're our miracle." She said it with a smile, but behind her eyes, I could see a fear that I didn't understand as a child. My father was no different. Together, they built a fortress around me, convinced it was for my own good. I wasn't allowed to play outside with the other kids. "You'll get hurt," my mom would say. "What if you fall and break your arm? What if someone pushes you? You're safer here." Instead, I stayed indoors, playing with dolls or reading books. I remember watching the other kids through the window, laughing and running around, and wishing I could be out there with them. But every time I asked, the answer was always no. School wasn't much better. My mom would walk me to the classroom door every single day, even when I was old enough to go by myself. She'd pack my lunch, make sure I wore a jacket even when it wasn't cold, and remind me to be careful of mean kids. I wasn't allowed to go on field trips unless one of my parents came along. And sleepovers? Forget it. "We don't know those families," my dad would say. "What if something happens to you?" By the time I was a teenager, the restrictions only tightened. My parents monitored my phone, read my diary, and approved or disapproved of my friends. Dating was out of the question. I wasn't allowed to go to dances, parties, or even study sessions if boys were involved. I tried to rebel once. It was the night of the spring dance during my junior year. My best friend Sarah begged me to go with her. "It's just a dance, Emma," she said. "Your parents will never know." For the first time, I lied to them. I told them I was staying at Sarah's house to study. The night was magical. For the first time, I felt like a normal teenager, twirling in my dress, laughing with friends, and forgetting, even for a moment, the weight of my parents' control. But when I came home, the magic ended. My mom was waiting for me, her face pale with worry and anger. "Where were you?" she demanded. "We called Sarah's house, and her mom said you weren't there." I confessed everything. The punishment was swift and harsh. No phone, no friends, no freedom. They told me I had betrayed their trust, but I couldn't help feeling that it was they who had betrayed me. As I got older, my dreams began to clash with their expectations. I wanted to be an artist. Painting was my escape, my way of expressing all the emotions I wasn't allowed to show. But when I told my parents, they laughed. "Art isn't a real career," my dad said. "You need stability, security. You'll study accounting, and that's final." I tried to argue, but my words fell on deaf ears. They enrolled me in business school, and I spent 4 miserable years studying something I hated. I graduated with honors, but my heart was heavy. Now, at 30, I sit in my small apartment, surrounded by canvases and paints I never have time to use. I work as an accountant, just like my parents wanted, but every day feels like I'm living someone else's life. My parents are proud of me, or at least they're proud of the version of me they created. But I'm not proud. I'm angry. I'm angry at the opportunities I missed, the dreams I abandoned, and the person I could have been if only they had let me live. I resent the way their love suffocated me, turning my life into a series of what-ifs. When I confront them, they don't understand. "We did everything for you," my mom says. "We wanted to keep you safe. Can't you see that?" But safety came at a cost. Their love was a cage, and while they thought they were protecting me, they were really keeping me from growing, from failing, from learning how to trust myself. I don't know if I'll ever forgive them. Maybe someday. But for now, I'm still trying to figure out how to rebuild my life, piece by piece, outside of the cage they built for me.